I'm Bob Brill. He's Eric Kramer. Welcome to Kramer and Brill, a fantasy football podcast, and now a video cast too. You can hear the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Also, you can see the video cast on the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, Bob Brill YouTube channel, or by finding the links for all of this at kramerandbrill.com. That's the easiest way. Just go to the website, and you'll see right at the top, it'll say click here for the podcast, and then you'll see a little box with a video in it, and you click on there. It says right here for the video cast. That's the easiest way. Week 18, we're into the final week of the NFL season, the regular season. My colleague Eric Kramer is taking the week off, so you just get me for the final week of the regular NFL season with way too many playoff implications on the line. Eric will be back with us next week. Now, if you followed our advice last week, this is what you would have seen from your fantasy players. We liked and recommended Ja'Marr Chase, 11 catches, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. Eric loved him. Najee Harris with 188 and a TD and a couple of long runs. I said the Steeler defense, 28 fantasy points. Donta Foreman, 132 and a touch. Mac Jones, 227, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Damian Harris, 2 touchdowns, 17 fantasy points. Jonathan Taylor had 108 and a touchdown. Pittman had 6 catches. McKenzie on Buffalo, 110 and a touch. Josh Allen, 2 rushing touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 for 111 and a score. Devonta Adams, 11 for 136 and a score. Renfro, 20 fantasy points. Jacobs with 18. Eckler, 20 fantasy points. Rashard Penny, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 32 fantasy points. Now, after full disclosure here, I hope you did not go with my advice on the Bengals, because I said to bench Burrow, Mixon, and Higgins, and I whiffed on all 3 to go down swinging. However, I hit 4 home runs in this game. I said to invest heavily in the Steelers, especially the defense, which put up 28 fantasy points. They had 9 sacks, 2 picks, and Najee Harris had 188 a touchdown. It was all in support of Ben in his last home game in Pittsburgh. Wow, what a night. Could have been better. Could this be a sign of things to come? Well, we always talk about teams with tough running games and great defense playing into the playoffs. Just saying here. The winners this week, among the quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, 448 and 4 TDs, Russell Wilson, 4 TDs, and Tom Brady, 3, plus 410 yards passing. On the running back side, Rashard Penny and Darrell Williams, along with Boston Scott, who was out this week. Wide receivers, Ja'Marr Chase and DK Metcalf, finally, 3 touchdowns each, and Rob Gronkowski. The losers, there are only 2. Antonio Brown and the NFL for allowing Antonio Brown to play again and disrupt another NFL team. Okay, let's take a look at this week's game. So this is the last week of the fantasy football playoffs for most leagues. So if it's do or die for some teams, add 2 Saturday games and no Monday Night Football. Saturday, we have the Chiefs and Broncos. I like Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon here, but on the Chiefs side, Andy Reid has a tendency to sit his starters if the game is meaningless. So watch the wires up until game time to make sure. Cowboys and Eagles. Cowboys need to rebound here and should do it against Philadelphia. Dak had a really solid day, so he looks to be back, and I'd start him. Cedric Wilson and Cooper also, but leave Gallup off your list as he was injured and he's doubtful. Dalton Schultz, also a solid play at tight end. I would not start any running back here. Eagles have 18 players on COVID, so no one here except maybe Kenneth Gainwell. He's the only really healthy running back on the roster. You could get some volume. Packers and Lions, Rodgers is supposed to start despite clinching home field advantage, so he's good to go, as are the rest of the offensive players. But watch the daily wires to be sure, because some of the starters may get rested. Lions, well, you should just ride Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's it. Colts and Jags, Jags playing out the string, so look for Treadwell and Armstead to get some volume, but it is a key game. Colts must win, so watch the COVID wires and be ready to start Taylor and Wentz. It is Jacksonville playing the spoiler here, so I'm good with really anybody on this team. Washington and the Giants. Washington, nothing to play for, but look for next season and a new name. So I like Patterson, Sims, and McLaurin. Barkley is questionable, so take heart on the Giants side. Now we got the Bears and Vikings. Vikings, Kirk Cousins is out, so it's Sean Mannion. So this one's kind of goofy. Cook did not carry the ball much last week, and they did rely on the pass, which was okay. So I'd stick with Jefferson and Conklin here. For the Bears, Montgomery and Mooney, they are worthy of starts here. Patriots and Dolphins. Patriots are in and out, and they're not going to do much as far as home field advantage. So Bill Belichick is likely going to rest his starters, which means you sit Damian Harris, you start Stevenson, and I would sit Mac Jones as well in place of Brian Hoyer. I do like Duke Johnson and Devonta Parker, though, for Miami. Saints and Falcons. Saints are on the bubble, so they need a win. Start Kamara, Hill, and especially Callaway, who's been hot lately. Kyle Pitts is questionable, but I like him if he's healthy for the Falcons. Titans and Texans. Titans are in and can get home field advantage, possibly with a win. Hilliard, Brown, Foreman, and I like Tannehill this week, possibly 2 touchdowns rushing. Brandon Cooks, and that's it for Houston. Steelers at Ravens. Now, I'm hardcore on Najee this week and the Steeler D against the hated Ravens in Baltimore. Both teams must win. And the way the Ravens are playing, like the bad Steeler teams this year, I got to go with the Steelers, but not specifically Ben, who has not been good for fantasy owners. Therefore, the receivers have not been good, but I do like Freiermuth here. Seems to get a touchdown almost every week. Ravens are fighting for a spot, and this is always a tough battle. I'd start Andrews, Latavius Murray, and Lamar Jackson is just questionable. If he plays, start him. If not, Tyler Huntley is a very good option. Jets and Bills. Jets are down for the count, which makes them dangerous. Zach Wilson is a play here, as is Braxton Berrios, who was targeted 12 times last week. For the Bills, Josh Allen and any of the top 3 receivers. Bengals and Browns. Browns sit everyone. I wouldn't start anybody, even Chubb. Bengals sit everyone because it's a meaningless game for them heading into the playoffs, and they will likely play sparingly. Maybe an opportunity for Pirine here, Samaje Pirine. Take a look at him as you go into this game if this game is on your radar. Rams need a win. They're playing the Niners, or an Arizona loss to clinch, and a win puts them into the race for the number 2 spot. So Sony Michel and Cooper Kupp are solid here, as is Beckham. For the Niners, start Debo, and if Jimmy G starts, then Kittle. If it's Lance, maybe not, and you definitely start Elijah Mitchell. Seahawks and Cardinals. It seems as if Russell Wilson has come out of his shell with all the trade rumors and now has targeted his best receiver, with Metcalf getting 3 scores last week. Look for more of the same, along with Rashard Penny hauling the rock. Cardinals are in a must-win situation, so figuring they go all out, I'd start anyone on this team who normally starts except for Connor, who is out. Chargers and Raiders. Raiders still in the bubble, so I'd bank on Carr this week at Renfro, along with Zay Jones and Josh Jacobs. Chargers looking to get into the playoffs with a win, so go for it all, knowing that Jared Cook is out. And there you have it. Kramer and Brill, Fantasy Football Podcast, and now a video cast too. You can hear the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, Odyssey, and wherever you get your podcasts. Now you can also see the video cast on YouTube by going to my Bob Brill YouTube channel, or by finding the links for all of this at kramerandbrill.com. That's the easiest way. For my friend and colleague Eric Kramer, I'm Bob Brill. We'll see you next time.